right. How you doing, guys? Everyone, of course, is streaming at the same time. Because it is cram week. It is holy shit. Thursday's coming so fast. Is Gino healthy? He's just got a bruise on his arm. That's what he says. And he threw all week. No, he didn't. He threw all day on Wednesday apparently, and looked fine. So yeah, we got him. Yippity fuck a doo. That still doesn't mean anything to me because just because he's able to toss the bar around in limited fashion doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be able to handle the extent of a full game with a bruised trapezoid. It's just trapezoid, bicep, tricep. That's twice I've done that. I did that on the last stream about him too. Anyways, it's so important for the function of throwing. At any rate, that's so much going on at once. But do we as fans get ready for the most crucial part of the other team, which is their quarterback? He is often mocked, and you must be careful. Because a player that is often mocked most, he's just pedestrian, ends up being the most dangerous player on their team. We've seen what somebody like Doug Baldwin will get with a chip on their shoulder. If we mock somebody like Brock Purdy, he might just come into Seattle and show us, oh no, I'm Brock fucking Purdy. So be ready, right? And I want to talk a little bit about Brock Purdy coming into the stadium. We all know the story. He's this Mr. Irrelevant, right? Imagine you work your entire life. Your dream is to be an athlete, and they call you irrelevant. Sorry, Mr. Irrelevant. They put a little bow tie on it because you're not supposed to even make the team. Not only do you make the team, you go up against the team that's supposed to make it to the Super Bowl, and they do make it to the Super Bowl, but you blow out your arm. And we'll look at the next gen chart in a second. He didn't really have an opportunity to even compete in that game before he blew out his arm. So he comes back this year. People are kind of like calling him the next Tom Brady. And you listen to the 49ers like pundits. They're like talking about him like Joe Montana. They're talking about him like Peyton Manning. They're not talking about him like Andrew Luck or Patrick Mahomes. No, they're talking about him like people that have already secured their place in the Hall of Fame. That's a lot of pressure. And it reminds me of when the Seahawks got Russell Wilson. He comes in out of nowhere. And when the Seahawks got him and he won the job, and he, after the 2012 season they lost to the Falcons, he comes in and he's like, I'm going to win it mode, right? But the fans themselves were doing that. They were comparing him to Fran Tarkington, and they were comparing him to Drew Brees, and they were comparing him to Peyton Manning. And look, if you include the rushing touchdowns, he technically beat Peyton Manning's total rookie touchdown record. So he's better than Peyton Manning. They were doing things like that, and they were putting him on this gigantic pedestal. And so Brock Purdy, like Russell Wilson, has a great offensive line around him, has a great running back that the team also traded for. That they're like, well, yeah, he's not really working. He's a great running back, but he's not really working out in Buffalo. I mean, in Carolina. Sorry, this is a McCaffrey thing, not a Marshawn Lynch thing. You see what I'm getting at? It's almost like the 49ers spent some time kind of trying to be the Seahawks, this team that kept beating their ass for a long time. And so you come in, and you got this great offensive line. You now have this running back that's great at running between the tackles and making a guy miss. I'm not saying McCaffrey runs like Marshawn Lynch, right? You just get a good bell cow running back. Good tight end, Pro Bowler. Why aren't they ever throwing him the ball? Well, he's a good blocker, kind of like Zach Miller. Then you got yourself a great wideout, great flanker. It's kind of bouncing around. And Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. It's a stacked offense. And then they just needed a quarterback, right? And not just that. They needed a quarterback that would just don't make any mistakes and do the job. Because there's teams all the time where they get a quarterback and he's just holding on to the ball, and there's guys, their plays open, but he doesn't know what he's doing. He just knows, I'm only going to throw the ball when I know exactly what I'm looking at. And so he doesn't know, he's not going to take any chances, but he knows if I hold on to the ball, I'm not going to fumble it, and I'm not going to turn it over. I'm not going to throw an interception of any kind. And then if I just maybe learn every once in a while to look down and run for a little bit, they'll call me good because I pick up a couple, they're not good quarterbacks. They're survivors, which, I mean, there's something to that, I suppose. But then there's quarterbacks that know how the game works. And so I'm wondering which one of those is Brock Purdy. Because when we look at Brock Purdy, everyone kind of makes fun of him. They kind of made fun of Russell Wilson. Well, he's got this great defense. He's got this great offense. He's got this great running back. All he has to do is sit back there and hand the ball off. He still has to play football. He still has to not turn the ball over. And there are teams out there where the quarterback is playing football, and as they're playing football, they're not doing anything at all. And they're like, but you're wasting all this talent around you. Well, it's because the quarterback isn't playing football. They're surviving. So clearly, more is going on out there than just him. Ooh, I think I trigger my own tinnitus. I think I get so excited talking about football that the reverb the trigger is my own tinnitus. It's always this one ear. I think he might be that type of quarterback that hey, I know exactly how to play the progression of the play, and he's not a survivor. And so it's a watch out as he learns and develops type of player. And that's why, a lot of pressure, if he can survive that emotional pressure that's being put on him, that's a dangerous thing. And it's also why you need to take players like this seriously. You don't say, oh, he's just Mr. Irrelevant. He's got a bunch of talent around him. No, you take him seriously, and you come in and you consider where on the field you're ready to attack him. And so we can actually kind of look at that. I thought about it this week. That offense is so good. The only thing they really need is a true flanker. Because Deebo's more of a slot guy, right? So I'd rather them have a true, what they need is A.J. Brown on the other side of Ayuk. And then just let him go. So let's go to next gen stats. I have the link to what's going to be referenced later. It's sharp football analysis for strength of schedule, which we'll discuss later. But otherwise, all of my references today are going to be from Next Gen Stats and Pro Football Reference. Okay. So, did they reset? I spent so long preparing that I guess they reset. So here's what I'm going to do. I need to pull up my screen for you. Hello, here's my screen. Brock Purdy. Here we go. So first, I promised you that we were going to talk about this championship game here. Dude had a chance to throw 4 passes, and I think at least 2 of these, he was injured. But yeah, his arm was fucked up. Imagine getting to the championship game against the team that does go to the Super Bowl, and as a rookie, as Mr. Irrelevant, and your arm gets fucked up, and this is your passing chart. 4 completions. He's not even throwing incompletions or an interception or anything. Like, he did better with a fucked up arm than Drew Lock did against the Rams. My goodness. Okay, so we get back to the regular season. I want to talk about where he's throwing interceptions. He this is Pro Football Reference. Ads, just pop up ads everywhere, and I understand. Pro Football Reference especially, I don't know how they stay in business other than like donations. They're awesome. Just a huge football database. If you want to just look for base raw stats, this is where you want to go. Look, you can pay sometimes for donations to get things updated. So now he's called Mr. Relevant. He goes from Mr. Irrelevant to Mr. Relevant. I love it. Okay. Okay, so I wanted to look at his base stats so you could get a look at just like how is he doing this year. Well, we talked last year about how Geno Smith, his completion percentage was about 70%, which is about elite. Brock Purdy is about there too. He's at 70%, 0.2. See what I did there? Ding, ding. And then he's thrown for 2,662 yards at 9.7 yards per attempt. 9 yards is considered elite in my mind because that's basically a first down every time you throw the ball. And with that 0.7, he's basically throwing for 10 yards an attempt, which is a first down every time he throws the ball. He has 18 touchdowns through the air and 5 interceptions. That's not bad, Mr. Relevant. And then, of course, I have Geno Smith here for comparison. How's he doing this year? 65.3%, 2404 yards, 7.2 yards per attempt, 12 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. So, just to be clear, everyone knows the best quarterback raw stats this year ranked is Brock Purdy, Geno Smith, Matthew Stafford, and Josh Dobbs. And I have no real complaints against that list. And as we continue with our deep dive, for a man that's not thrown a lot of interceptions, only 5, where are they? Where are these taking place? Is there a pattern? Because if you're throwing like a lot of touch interceptions, surely there's like a tendency, but there's not a lot going on with the 5, right? It could be like a fluke over there, a fluke over there. I think there's a pattern. And I think Quandre Diggs may have an opportunity to get an interception today. Today, Thursday. I'm assuming you're watching this on a Thursday. So let's go to week 6. It's pretty obvious. It's up here by the 20-yard mark. This kind of goes to, first of all, this is Diggs' territory. In Tampa 2, in cover 1, doesn't matter. Cover 4, whatever you want to call it, this will always be Diggs' territory, whether he's lined up over here, whether he's lined up in the middle, whether he's lined up all the way over here, whether he's a robber. This will always be Diggs' territory. Unless he's like dropping down to the flat. He's probably going to be spying this spot. Keep that in mind. I also want you to look at something. People say that he doesn't have a big arm and that he can't complete passes down the field. Passes down the field, so explosives, typically 15 yards or more. And in this case, if you look, this was an attempt past the 15-yard line. And he, in fact, during week 6, completed no passes past the 15-yard line. And again, I don't consider yak to be a quarterback thing. Typically, it's typically up to the receiver, the target, the skill player, to make a choice and make a move afterwards to create yak. So yeah, here. And who are they playing in week 6? Just so we can keep track of what's going on with the targets and threats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Dallas, which is considered to have a pretty good defense. I might as well just close that. I had everything opened before, and since it refreshed it, why even have it open now? And then here's the other chart that I wanted to show you. Week 7, he played Arizona. So what, this is Buda Baker's spot? I think Buda Baker's the strong safety. But he threw 2 picks in this area. And again, 15 yards. He does actually complete 3, but it's right there at the 20. And he also throws the 2 interceptions right there. And I'm wondering if that was like goal line situation or something like that. But it was nothing, no missed targets or anything. He had a good game, right? Look at how few he missed. So when he throws, he's really accurate. Especially like within these sticks. But out here, he's not throwing beyond the 20. And this corner in particular, he's out of his 5 interceptions this year, he's accounted for 3 of them right in the area where Quandre Diggs is going to be, who, as I've established earlier this year, has basically been shut down and already has accounted for 1 interception. So I have a feeling this is the game where he might get an interception on Brock Purdy. And out of curiosity, if you're like, well, where's the other 2 interceptions? Well, they happened the following week in week 8. He had one down in the middle, which is about the 13 and the 14-yard line. And then he had one all the way down here on the flat, which, as we know, that's like these flat plays. These are the hardest plays in football. Because when they go wrong, they go long. They go all the way home. This is what got Matt Schaub's jersey set ablaze. This play right here. This is the one that makes Geno Smith, this is the one that makes the Geno Smith truthers sweat. It makes me sweat. It makes everyone sweat. Nobody likes having this on the chart because you know that this is going that direction. You can't see what's going on, can you? Because of there you go. Yeah, the flat interception right there. I'm sorry. I have my camera covering that. But yeah, this flat right there. It might happen this game, but let's see. How many times do they throw to the flat? Let's see. Last week, looks like they attempted some, I would assume that's a screen or an out. That looks like a bubble screen. Let's go just based off of that positioning, which is a bubble screen. And again, you can't see what I'm talking about. I'm sorry. Bubble screen position. It doesn't look like they throw them a lot. Looks like they have like a couple incompletions. And then they have some like normal. Don't expect that interception to happen. But the normal in the middle interception, of course, in the middle, they're throwing in the middle all the damn time. If you look at this week 10 game though, which this was against the Rams. Nothing in the middle. But he had 3 deep touchdowns. So, they went all in on stopping the run. And he's like, okay, well, I'll just beat you out on the outside. So, maybe don't let this happen. But we also kind of established that the Rams defensive backs kind of suck. And then last week too, it was the same formula. If you look, all the stuff is on the outsides, which means it must have just been teams trying to just like crash in on stopping this running attack. And when we look at the running attack, let's go to the offense. Like this Jaguars game. Oh, so they didn't play the Rams. 2 weeks ago, they played the Jaguars. So 2 weeks ago, this one, there's nothing in the middle. The 49ers, I know it's hard to see, they ran for 144 yards. And when you look at the chart, all their touchdowns were through the air. These deep, deep touchdowns. and none of it was in the middle. And it's probably because the Jaguars were so terrified of the run that they put everything they had into stopping McCaffrey, and it just opened things up. Or, that's how play action is kind of supposed to set things up, as, oh shit, please don't run the ball. Oh shit, please don't run. Oh crap, it's a passing route and he's ahead of me now. And then it's a touchdown. So, but if you notice, there's not a lot of incompletions. So it's different than that other chart I showed you where there was a bunch of incompletions. He can be really accurate. And likewise, like last week, he's got these 15 plus yard passes. He's really accurate. When he's throwing the ball, it's probably going to get caught down the field. And last week, they ran for 115 yards versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Big hole in the middle of the yard. And that's like 10 yards, right? It's different than last week when we were playing Matthew Stafford. Remember Matthew Stafford, his hot chart right in the middle of the field was this big green. He has 107 QBR rating because they want to spread the field out so that he can hit this middle of the spot for like big gains and just chug the middle of the field passing the ball. And it's the exact opposite when looking at this Brock Purdy chart. And it's fascinating. Let me just I want to pull that up so I could show you. This is fun. This is fun for me. Might not be fun for you. But if you like this, like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. It would help out the channel. Let me show you Matthew Stafford and just the difference. See how it's like in the middle and behind? And his is like around the edges. In the middle. Spread, and then it allows him maybe let me show you another. Just look how muddy this is. All this stuff underneath in the middle. Oh my God. And you look at Brock Purdy. It's just like a little arc all around. You're going to pop it over here. We're going to pop it over there. We're going to pop a little bit over here, a little bit over there. A little bit over here, a little bit over here, a little bit over here, right? He just kind of hits his little spots. And then you look at Matthew Stafford and it's just muddy. Because he loves this middle. It's just muddy. Look at that. Just and he doesn't have this like nice like arcing spread compared to Brock. And it's just so interesting. And it's because the like look between the hash marks. It tells the story. He's got like a couple targets, but these hash marks are just bone dry. It's so funny. Because those hash marks are loaded with bodies. So there's nowhere to throw to. So everything is like, the tight ends and everything else, like the slot receivers breaking out or like cutting in. and everything else is like driving in to try to stop McCaffrey and Juszczyk and Kittle. And it's so funny to look at. And so when you're looking at these charts, it's like, well, yeah, obviously we're going to have Bobby and Jordan crashing. And then we're going to have like probably Adams and Witherspoon on the outside spying the running back. And, Kittle's going to be catching the ball like over here and over here and over here. And then Ayuk's going to catch the ball over here and over here. And then Samuel's going to catch the ball like over here and a bunch in here. And then McCaffrey's going to catch the ball out here and over here. And you're like, we know exactly what they're going to do. They're not going to like try to invent the wheel. And when you look at Stafford, it's like, yeah, they're just going to spread the ball around and they're going to make us go all in all these different crazy positions, and we're going to have to go over here and we're going to have to go over there. And it's cathartic when you look at this shit. But when you look at Brock Purdy, they're like, this man, yeah, no wonder he has a crazy good let me go back to Pro Football Reference, PFR, Matt Stafford. Okay, so Matt Stafford, he's got a 59.2% completion. And we've established that Geno Smith has 65 and Brock Purdy has 70. Well, when you look at like how often they're throwing the ball and where they're throwing the ball, like, and how it's being set up, like these hash marks, they're throwing into like the middle of the field. Of course, the fact is Matthew Stafford does need to be playing better, but also he's throwing the ball in like an erratic, all over the place, kind of crazy way, and then making up for it. Where Brock Purdy kind of has, this thing teed up for him. He just needs to put the ball exactly where it's supposed to go. And it's really kind of pretty to look at the results. And when it doesn't go well, like even when it's not going well, it still looks like it's functioning. That's what's really interesting, is that when it's not going well, like the game he's losing, he's 21 for 30, 271. He just happens to throw 2 interceptions. It's not like he's performing badly. He just happens to, the following week, 22 for 31, 365 yards and 2 interceptions. Just the more interceptions you throw, the more yards you're probably going to have to throw also. The more attempts you're going to have to throw. Because otherwise he's just kind of doing what the offense is asking him to do and not having to make all these like circus throws. Not saying that he can't. I'm just saying he doesn't need to. It's really kind of funny to look at. The 5 interceptions is the main thing. He's not making mistakes. And is that because he's a good quarterback. Don't make fun of the dude. He's a good quarterback. If you're a quarterback who can run an NFL offense and perform under pressure and not throw interceptions, you're a good quarterback. And Geno's thrown 2 more interceptions than him. So, they're in a similar like, we're taking care of the ball range, and we were just praising Geno Smith for that last week. So good job to Mr. Relevant. Taking care of the football is important. And if he's going to be going up against this defensive backfield, he's going to have to do that. And I don't think they're going to be doing anything weird like a flea flicker to Woolen. Why do teams keep doing that directly to Woolen? I think the thing that we should be most terrified of is Christian McCaffrey. And then after that, can we beat their scheme man to man? And as we established kind of yesterday, is Woolen going to beat Ayuk this year now that he's not injured? Well, we're going to find out. Is Witherspoon better than Deebo Samuel? Is Trey Brown going to have to go up against Ayuk on the other side? Who's covering Kittle? Is Adams going to be covering Kittle? And can he man up on tight ends of that caliber? Is Julian Love gonna be able to handle that caliber of a tight end? How's Bobby doing? Because McVay just kind of showed Shanahan a little bit of how to target Bobby in different in-breaking routes and things like that. How is our defensive line holding up? Because we haven't been able to face a running attack like this since the Ravens game, even though they don't have a mobile quarterback. It's if we can keep this team under 100 yards, we're probably going to win. 100 rushing yards. But the key to this is also if we can stop Brock Purdy, because people have been completely ignoring him. I mean, people talk about him in Santa Clara, and then people have been like, well, he's an MVP, and he's not an MVP. And he's not Joe Montana or Tom Brady, and even Tom Brady said he's not. He even said to Brock Purdy, don't try to be me, try to be you. And he could end up being an amazing player. But right now, all he needs to do is run the offense, which is what Russell Wilson needed to do. And at the time, people were asking Russell Wilson to become a spread quarterback, throw the ball all over the place, and do what Matthew Stafford is doing, right? And we saw how that didn't really fit him. And also, the Seahawks back then performed best when Marshawn Lynch was getting the rock and Russell was playing off of that and tossing the ball to Doug Baldwin and company off of play action. And sometimes he wouldn't even throw it 20 times. And you'd be like, what the hell? And it's because he was running 10 times. And it would be like these little 3 or 4 yard little rushes off the side. And it would all kind of add up together. And it was because he's doing exactly what he needed to do within the scheme and what he was capable of doing. And hats off to players and coaches that do that. So whenever Brock Purdy is criticized, I think we need to criticize, his choices in the threat of scheme at this point. He's a young player, and what we've seen is he's been put in a lot of man-to-man situations. And this is a great opportunity for him. Can he put his targets in advantageous situations, against man-to-man? And it's entirely, at this point, really up to our defense. Can Woolen, can Trey, can all these other players, and I'm gonna pull that back. Can all these other players just do what we know they can do. Because, actually, I wanna put it back again. I want to talk about strength of schedule. This is courtesy of Sharp Football Analysis. This is the 2023 strength of schedule. And if you notice, the 49ers are all the way up here. Their strength of schedule is easy peasy at number 4. Now, notice, of course, the Seahawks are all the way down here at number 8, but we're still in like the upper echelon of easy. The Patriots, people are shitting on Bill Belichick, but he's got the hardest schedule in the NFL at 32. Going against Tua and fucking Josh Allen, and who else am I forgetting in that division? And Saleh with that defense. It's not looking good for the Patriots. It's a hard division. And so the 49ers, they have to go up against the Cardinals and Sean McVay and then Pete Carroll. And I think part of the reason why our schedule, is easier than theirs is because we have to play them and they have to play us. And that's why, if we were better than them, it would be closer. But ultimately, their schedule is a little bit easier, and I want to compare the teams that we played and are playing this year. So first of all, who have they played this year? Well, they played the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Steelers have had a pretty easy schedule this year. So they played a team that has had a pretty easy schedule. And they mopped the floor with them 30-7. They then played the Rams and won. And the Rams are dead center. We played them twice and we lost the dead center. We lost to the dead center team twice. So keep that in mind. Sorry. They beat the Giants, who are probably the worst team in football right now. They beat the Arizona Cardinals. And they beat the Cowboys. They lost to the Browns. They lost to the Vikings. They lost to the Bengals. They beat the Jaguars. And they beat the Buccaneers. We have played the Rams once. We have also played the Giants. We have played the Cardinals. We have played the Browns. We have played the Bengals. So they've played the sorry-ass Pittsburgh Steelers. They've played the Cowboys, who are supposed to be, I guess they're us. If the 49ers are the Eagles, then the Cowboys are the Seahawks. The one nipping at the heel, but probably not as good. Is that fair? Let's roll with it. They even got the same defensive coaching tree. They played the Jaguars, who I think are trash. And then they played the Buccaneers, who are who have Baker Mayfield at quarterback. And then, of course, we didn't play the Vikings. So the only real differences in our schedule is, let's say, the Minnesota Vikings. They lost, but we also lost to the Ravens, and they haven't played the Ravens yet. So that equals out. You see where I'm going with this? The Cincinnati Bengals. The Seahawks played the Cincinnati Bengals, and we lost. But the San Francisco 49ers also lost to them. That's pretty awesome. We beat the Cleveland Browns, but the 49ers lost to the Cleveland Browns. However, we lost to the Los Angeles Rams. So we're going to cancel that one out. So really, we're just losing one game in the division standing. Let's see other teams of similar strength. We both played the Giants. We both played the Cardinals once. Is there a team? Let's see. We played the Panthers, but they didn't have Bryce Young starting. They had Andy Dalton starting. So would you say that that's as bad as the Steelers? I'm going to say that's as bad as the Steelers. So that's comparable in how easy that is. So that we've had pretty easy to start the schedule because that was our week 3 game. Their week 1 game was the Steelers. I'm hoping you guys can keep up with me on this. The games we lost, we both have lost to basically the same teams, the Cincinnati Bengals. And then we both they lost to a purple team, and we lost to a purple team. and then they lost to, we lost to the Rams, and they lost to the Browns, and we beat the Browns. So, and then we lost to the Rams again, but Sean Payton always sweeps us. So, take it for what it is. So then they played the sorry-ass Pittsburgh Steelers week 1 and beat their ass. And then we played the sorry-ass Panthers week 3 and beat their ass. We both beat the Giants' ass. Then we both beat the Cardinals' ass. Right? We played the Lions. Is there a team that they played that's comparable to the Lions? Are the Dallas Cowboys comparable to the Lions to you? Are they comparable to the Jaguars or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? What is the Lions' record? They currently lead the NFC North with 8-2, and we beat that team. What is the Cowboys' record? They're 7-3. I'd say that that's pretty comparable, wouldn't you? Okay, so pretty comparable record right there. So all that leaves is the Jacksonville fucking Jaguars, who are trash, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are mid. And then we have the Washington Commanders, who traded Chase Young to the 49ers, who we happen to play tomorrow. And then we lost to the Rams. So they beat the Jaguars, who I guess would be the Commanders. And then they beat Tampa Bay, who would be mid, therefore the Rams, who are also mid. So we basically have played the same schedule, except the Jaguars are worse than the Commanders, and we lost to Tampa Bay, a.k.a. the Rams, because they haven't played the Rams yet. And we lost to the Rams because Pete Carroll always loses to Sean McVay twice. And of course, we have to play like this gauntlet coming up, right? But, we played the Lions, and now we got to play the Cowboys, but they have this gauntlet coming up where they have to play the Ravens, and then they have to play the Commanders and the Rams at the end. So technically, they still got some teams at the end of the schedule where they could get fucking wrecked. Like, which schedule would you rather have? I'm going to switch it, right? I'm going to switch the teams a little bit. So bear with me. Would you rather have 49ers, Eagles, 49ers, Cardinals, Ravens, Commanders, Rams? Or would you rather have 49ers, Cowboys, 49ers, Eagles, Titans, Steelers, Cardinals? Well, if you chose the latter, that's the Seahawks schedule. Our schedule is actually, it peters off at the end. It gets a little easier towards the end. So if you bared with me during all the rambling and calculating through all that, not only does our schedule kind of equal out when you kind of bear with it and you realize that, like, we had to play two harder teams than the Jaguars and Tampa Bay with back-to-back Commanders and Sean McVay-led Rams than the 49ers. The 49ers also have a harder schedule coming up at the end of their season. I mean, sure, we both have a hard set of like 4 weeks coming up. And they might just go, it's clobbering time, and just walk right to the Super Bowl, and it's fucking 49ers Ravens, and then they beat the Ravens in the Super Bowl because that's what the NFL scripts say, right? It's literally colored in their logo. Just look. But at any rate, I don't see why we should be intimidated by this team if we don't get it together. Clearly, we shouldn't be like, yo, this team is nothing. But I think we have a great opportunity in front of us to take this team by the pants. Because Brock Purdy and this team, they know what's up. They're like, we're going into Seattle on Thanksgiving. And they just lost to the Rams, and they're pissed off, and they know that their season's on the line, and we're the big dog on the street. And they're going to give us everything they got. So they're going to play clean, dominating football. And Brock Purdy's going to try to put on a show. And he just might. But we have to put on a show as well, which shows, actually, hold on, old man, because that team's old. We're going to rock you. I say old like we don't have fucking Jason Peters on our team. They're old as in they've been together for a long time. Other than the quarterback, the rest of the team has been in function and knows how to maneuver together. It's an old team. Like the Eagles, they've been playing together for a long time, and eventually they'll start to have to rotate off and get new players to start. Where our team is, other than even Geno has only started for 2 years. The running backs are new. Our oldest players are DK and Tyler Lockett and Diggs. So it's like, in order to claim our territory, literally on our territory, we need to show that we can play football better. And it's not the same squad as last year. We got some meat on this defensive line, and they're young, and they're hungry, and they're really talented at what they're capable of doing. And some of them aren't necessarily young, but they're proven. As Earl Thomas said, it's taped or something like that. It's been shown. Bobby Wagner's gonna do Bobby Wagner things because it's Thursday fucking football on Thanksgiving. Jerron Reed's probably gonna do Jerron things because it's Thursday football on Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, that means that Christian McCaffrey's probably gonna do Christian McCaffrey things, and so is George Kittle. It's gonna be awesome. I see people dreading this game. It's gonna be a fist fight on Thursday football on Thanksgiving. There will be blood on the field. I hope it rains. I hope it does. And if it doesn't rain, I hope that it's a little muddy. I hope that people are hearing meat slam into each other on the field. Cuz that's what this game is going to be about. It's not a Sunday game. It's definitely not Monday night fucking football. No. This is a week where they didn't have any chance to prepare on tape. This is why I didn't talk about coaches. This is why I didn't talk about scheme. This is why I talked about the heart of the players and the heart about preparing. And I talked about, where he's going to be throwing. But I talked specifically about what they're doing. McCaffrey is going to be running behind Kittle and Juszczyk and a pulling guard or a pulling tackle or even a pulling center, because they are all in on running the ball. And our defense is going to have to buckle the fuck up, because this team is we want to have a number one running offense and a number one running defense. And our quarterback is going to be in the back oh, I can throw now. And then be accurate when you do that. Because that's how the Seahawks kicked our ass for a decade. And then, the rock, paper, scissors thing? Pete Carroll beats Shanahan. Shanahan beats McVay. McVay beats Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll's trying to be McVay, and it's... You heard what I said. The offense is trying to look kind of like... And then McVay's kind of trying to have that defense kind of be like Pete Carroll and the heavy run. And that's not Shanahan, that's the Yorks. The Yorks wanted that. And they built the team to kind of be like that. And so this game's going to be awesome. And this isn't to say that Jim Harbaugh wasn't like that, but let's be honest, Chip Kelly was not that man. I didn't forget. He's your Jim Mora. Anyways, was there anything else? Do you guys want me to talk about punting? I talk about turnovers in different ways. We talked briefly about interceptions. Brock Purdy has thrown 5. Geno Smith has thrown 7. Brock Purdy threw 3 interceptions on the upper 20th hash mark. One on the right flat and then one in the middle. Geno Smith, he was throwing some to the corner routes, and then he was throwing some to the outs. He almost threw more to the outs and more to the corners, and then they stopped. Was that a scheme thing? Was that a Geno thing? Was that a miscommunication thing? Seemed like it was a miscommunication thing. And on a short week, if they don't have a chance to do communication things because he has been out the entire week, is Geno Smith going to throw some interceptions under pressure against this 49ers team because he doesn't have any chance to get in rhythm with his team? Well, I wouldn't say so, because quarterbacks typically don't practice on Monday, and nobody practices on Tuesday, and he got into rhythm again a bit on Wednesday and on Thursday. What does Pete Carroll call Thursdays, folks? Turnover Thursday. It's almost like a beautiful script. It's like Pete Carroll knows, how do I get my team ready to perform on Thursdays? Well, we're just going to have a mock game on Thursdays called Turnover Thursdays, where you're going to practice not turning over the ball in 2-minute drills, or we're going to run 2-minute drills like the ball is like the clock is about to end. It's the end of the game situation, and you need to win the game. Don't turn the ball over, and defense, try to get the ball so you can win the game. And we're gonna run fucking Turnover Thursdays. It's almost like everything is preparing for Thursday night football. I think Gino's gonna be great tomorrow, assuming he's healthy. He's only thrown 7 interceptions all year. He lost 2 fumbles this year. One of them, he almost lost a third, but one of them was recovered. And this going off the top of my head, I'm not going to look at the punt stuff because Thursday games are weird when it comes to special teams. I think Brock Purdy's going to throw a pick. Unless he just avoids that corner of the field. And we saw that, like, because I was talking about Matthew Stafford last week. We were breaking down the hot spot on the field. I said, where does he like to throw? The center of the field. His safety blanket's the bottom left flat. And then his favorite spot is the upper left corner. But that's Woolen and Diggs' corner, so they're going to take that away, and then he's going to try to throw in the middle, and when they take that away, he's going to throw it to the bottom left flat. And what did we see happen? He couldn't open up that upper left corner. They took away the middle, especially when Kupp went down, and then they had to throw to the open left flat, and then that gradually opened everything up. But they still couldn't get the upper left corner open, so they had to try with the flea flicker to attempt to make it happen, and it led to a pick. So is Kyle Shanahan going to pull something out of his butt and be like, Purdy, try this? And they're going to try to do something silly and throw a ball right into Diggs's face? Or is it going to be a seam route right up that corner, and Woolen or somebody is going to pick the ball off right there? Because there's already been 3. Or is he just going to not throw there because, okay, this defensive backfield is too good? I don't know. It'll be fun to watch. And again, I'm probably going to stream during the game tomorrow, and I might get a little crazy. I love playing the 49ers. It's Thursday, which means it's like the game that's going to be on. I'm going to be pumped. I would encourage you to show up and join me. And if you have any questions about the game or anything to bitch about during the game, you can let me know in the chat. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much for being here. Like and subscribe to the First Kick Seahawks. And I will catch you around.